right. So we're going to go ahead and finish up with the mixing. So I'm going to do one more round of slap and fold. Sort of refresher on the process. Again, I'm kind of using my dough scraper to sort of pick up the dough, and I've got a wet hand ready to catch the dough so it doesn't stick back again. Okay. You'll see at this point the dough has enough structure that it'll just kind of end up naturally picking up whatever got stuck to the countertop. All right. All right, so this is good. If you look at the dough, you'll see that it is much smoother than we started. It has a gentle sheen to it. You can see lots of little air bubbles on the surface and a couple bigger ones. And you'll notice that it feels very extensible and stretchy. I can really stretch the dough out. All right, so the dough is done with that. And now we're going to do the final part of the mixing, which is a basinage step. I mix without salt because it's easier to develop extensibility when you don't have salt in the dough. Once you add salt, okay, so for the basinage, kind of a lot like the earlier step where I was dissolving starter in water. Here I'm going to add the salt. I pre-scaled. It's at 2%, again using baker's math, so 2 grams flour per 100 grams water, 20 grams per kilo. And then I'm going to add some more water. But first I'm going to check the temperature of the dough to see how we did. Usually cools off quite a bit during mixing in a cool room. I did use really warm water, 90, 95 degrees, but we'll see how effective it is. It was. Again, we're shooting for about 80. Right now it's looking like 72, 73, which means that really would have been good to use that 100-gram water. Oh well, that's okay. I'll just have to rely on the temperature box and then maybe adjust my timeline a little bit depending on how it goes. And of course, in commercial bakeries where they have a certain timeline and they're constantly using the oven, it's like the bread better be ready when the oven's ready. That would be a huge problem to have the temperature off. But in commercial bakeries, they also have mixers which do very predictable things to the temperature of the dough. So they can compensate that way. All right, so I'm looking at 73 degrees. So again, I'm gonna just use really, really hot water out of the tap for the remainder. My basinage adds 76 grams water. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And this is pretty common when I do mixes. I'll hold back just enough water to kind of help dissolve the salt when I do my bassinnage. And I also don't use it all right away because if the dough gets much wetter than you saw it during the slap and fold, it just becomes really impossible to handle. So I'm going to kind of squish that water in. Makes really funny sounds. And you'll see the dough trying to kind of hold its shape as I'm trying to break it apart. I use my fingers sort of like scissors in a similar scissoring action to what you saw during the slap and fold. Okay, so I'm going to do okay, salt. And the salt also really changes the way the gluten organizes, and you'll definitely feel that the dough feels quite a bit stronger after you add the salt. Okay, it's coming back together. The salt's getting incorporated. The dough feels a little bit softer. There's more water in there. I'm going to give it a few sort of gentle, sort of slap and fold motions just to bring it together. And what do we have here? It's coming together. This time you'll notice, whereas before it was super stretchy, now that we've added the salt, it feels a lot tighter. It has more elasticity. It wants to spring back on itself. Yep. All right, so that's it for mixing. I'm going to record the temperature and the time. And then it's going to rest an hour before I give it a fold. Let's see. Yep. I like to taste the dough after I mix it, just as a little confirmation that I got the salt in there. Perfect. All right. All right, so it is 1:24 p.m. Usually takes me about 20-25 minutes for a mix like this with a bigger batch. Smaller batches are a little easier to mix just because it's less. 125, and we got to 72, 73. 72.6, okay, all right. All right, so not super great on the temperature. I'm definitely gonna need warmer water. I always forget how much the cool room changes the dough temp while you're mixing it. But my warm bassinnage water brought it up a degree, so we're at 74 now. Finished mix, 74, and we're gonna set. I'm gonna try to bring that up a little bit with the temperature box, but no guarantees. We might just have to adjust our timeline. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back for folds and then eventually for shaping and